Hello, and here are two more easily confused phrases. They're not really words, they're phrases. Now, this came up actually in a lesson with a student yesterday, and I could not answer the question. So I've gone away and I've done a bit of research. And this is the difference between at last and in the end. Now, they're tricky, this pair, because the fundamental meaning is the same. And of course, the fundamental meaning is that we're talking about something that happens at the end of some kind of process or situation. But the way we use these phrases is actually quite different. And it's quite common for me to hear this kind of language being confused. So let's take a look at the differences then between at last and in the end. So at last is actually very similar to finally, but we use at last when something has taken a really long time and we are actually feeling impatient. Finally, like I said, it's very similar, and the implication is that something has been a long process. It's taken a really long time and it's also been difficult. So let's look at some examples. At last, my new book has arrived. I've been waiting for ages. So here, I'm really kind of emphasizing this length of time that I've had to wait for my book. The next one. Oh, the train's here at last. I was beginning to think it would never come. And again, I'm emphasizing this kind of, I was probably feeling impatient. Oh, where's my train? Why am I waiting so long for my train? Ah, at last it's here. Thank God I can go home. So again, it's really emphasizing this feeling of impatience. And the last example here, there was a problem at London, so there were no taxis, and we finally got home at 3 in the morning. Oh, but it was a horrible journey. So here, again, it's emphasizing the length of time. Look, this is not very nice. And it's also been difficult. So a horrible journey. And if you just very quickly look at the placement of these words. So we can have at last kind of separate to the rest of it information, or we can have it at the end of a sentence. Finally here is going after my subject. We finally got home. I could say finally we got home. Okay, so let's go and have a look now at in the end. Now, in the end is a little bit different because it gives or it introduces a conclusion to a long process. So this process could be changes or it could be discussions, and we can also use this at the end of a story or anecdote. So this little phrase, you could think of this as being similar to in conclusion or to conclude, except that in normal speaking, we wouldn't really say in conclusion because that's too formal. So here's some examples. So we were thinking about going to Spain, but because of COVID, we decided to try Greece because it's much easier to go there. And then the government changed all the travel restrictions, and in the end, we're just staying at home. So in this example here, we're talking about a lot of changes. And I'm just introducing, I guess I'm introducing my concluding thought, which is this is too difficult to go away. I'm just going to stay at home. The next one, Jack worked for months on the proposal, but in the end, another team was chosen and he's gutted. Now, again, this phrase in the end is introducing the conclusion to this process. So the process is the work, and the conclusion is that the other team was chosen. Now, here's a little bit of vocabulary for you guys. To be gutted. Now, if you are gutted, it means that you are really, really, really disappointed. So maybe you went for an interview, a job you really wanted, and you thought you did so well in the interview, but you don't get the job. Oh, you can feel quite gutted after that. And then the last one, oh yeah, well, yeah. So in the end, it was quite an adventure, but I don't think I'll be going back to that city anytime soon. So here, this is like the conclusion of a story or an anecdote. And you can imagine before the yes, this person was talking about this adventure that happened in this city. Maybe they got mugged, maybe they got lost, maybe they got ripped off, or something happened to them. And they are concluding that long story. So that's a little bit of information for you about at last, finally, and in the end. If you've got any questions about these phrases, of course, please leave me a comment below. As always, I'm happy to help and answer your questions. My name is Sarah. I'm an English teacher and language anxiety coach, and I help people overcome their fear of speaking and using English. Thanks for watching.